Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Matters of Faith, the radio show. Matters of Faith is a show designed to bring issues of interest to you, the listening and viewing audience, that will put a biblical perspective on everyday issues. Good evening, everybody, I am your host, and welcome to Matters of Faith, the radio show. And it is my job to engage in stimulating dialogue that's inspiring, encouraging, and motivating. Dialogue and conversations that will help you build your determination, your commitment, and your character. Conversations that will help you keep the faith. Everyone born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. 1 John chapter 5, verse 4. And now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, without further ado, it is time for Matters of Faith, the radio show. Good evening, good evening, good evening to everybody. It's Monday, January 5th, 2026. And before I do anything else, let me just wish you all a very happy, blessed, and prosperous 2026. Happy New Year. I am Reverend Dr. J. Lauren Russell. I am the host and executive producer of Matters of Faith, the radio show. And tonight we're talking about the devotional, Stress Less and Be Blessed in 2026. We're broadcasting live on our Matters of Faith YouTube channel. We're also live on our Matters of Faith and J. Lauren Russell Facebook groups. So please, ma'am, please, sir, telephone and tell a friend. They don't want to miss this episode tonight, our very first of the new year. And our guest is Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff, the pastor of New Tabernacle Baptist Church, as well as the president of the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of New York and Vicinity. You don't want to miss this episode. He's also an author. He's just an all-around great guy who ministers and loves the people that he serves. So telephone and tell a friend. Matters of Faith is on again right now on Matters of Faith, J. Lauren Russell Facebook groups, and the Matters of Faith YouTube channel. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. And please, ma'am, please, sir, don't forget to support our sponsors and advertisers, the JLR Company and J. Lauren R. Consulting LLC, for all your church financial consulting needs. JLORENR at jlr.llc, or call 718-328-8096. It's not about the castle. It's all about the kingdom. And Matters of Faith, the book. The hard copy can be acquired from our Zelle account, JLORENR at jlr.llc. The book is $24.15. You can also send a check or money order to the JLR Company, Post Office Box 301, New York, New York 10035. That's P.O. Box 301, New York, New York 10035. And you can also get it as an ebook, so you can take it with you wherever you go. www.smashwords.com/books/view/993177. And don't forget to check out the Eat Okra app for black-owned restaurants and a whole lot more about food all over the nation. That's right, Eat Okra. Professional, compassionate, and family-friendly services at your time of bereavement. John J. Fox & Sons Incorporated Funeral Services. If you need them, know that they proudly serve the Bronx community and have been doing so for the last 125 years. When you're in need, give them a call. 718-733-9114. That's 718-733-9114. John J. Fox & Sons Funeral Services. Your focus in your business are on profitability, and rightly so. Your church is on spiritual excellence, and it should be. But if you let E.G. Edwards and Associates Incorporated handle your accounting and taxation needs, they do it with competence and professional excellence, and it will take your mind off of a lot of the things that you need to do in order to maintain your business profitability and your spiritual excellence. They're just a phone call away. 718-949-5181. 718-949-5181. E.G. Edwards and Associates are here to help. 718-949-5181. And please get your subscription to Better Mag magazine today. A 2-year subscription is still only $27.50, and you can get it by going to www.abettermag.com. That's www.abettermag.com. And please, ma'am, please, sir, subscribe, like, and share our Matters of Faith YouTube channel. That's Matters of Faith YouTube channel. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the Matters of Faith blog. Just go to www.mattersoffaith.blog, put in your email address, tap the Sign Me Up link, and you'll get an email. Confirm it, and anytime and every time anything is published through Matters of Faith, you will be notified. So make sure that you support and sponsor our advertisers and our sponsors. I'm still super excited about our Matters of Faith blog. Please go to www.mattersoffaith.blog, www.mattersoffaith.blog. Click the subscribe button. Type in your email address. Hit that bar that says Sign Me Up. You will receive a confirmation of thanks and then a confirmation email. If you confirm that, you will receive everything that we publish. www.mattersoffaith.blog. And now the devotional, Stress Less and Be Blessed in 2026. The link to that devotional can be found at mattersoffaith.blog. That's www.mattersoffaith.blog. You can also find the devotional in the Yonkers Insider, www.yonkersinsider.blogspot.com. That's www.yonkersinsider.blogspot.com. The column is also carried in Better Mag magazine, www.abettermag.com, www.abettermag.com. It can also be found in the Positive Community magazine and or their newsletter, www.thepositivecommunity.com. That's www.thepositivecommunity.com. The column is also carried in Pamela's Big Heart newsletter. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. Habakkuk chapter 3, verses 17 through 19, New King James Version. Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the field yields no food, though the flock may be cut off from the field, and there be no herds in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord is my strength. He will make my feet like deer's feet, and he will make me walk on high hills. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. There is a famous poem entitled I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, penned by Paul Laurence Dunbar, and inspired a book of the same name written by Maya Angelou that has become a literary classic. Birds were not designed to be caged. They were designed to sing and to fly. But in man's quest to harness nature, we create cages to hold birds for our pleasure. Yet despite their restrictive and limiting environment, their resiliency allows the caged bird to defeat their frustration, vent their misery, express their excitement for life, and create beauty through the gift of song the Lord has placed in their heart. Paul Laurence Dunbar heard the songs of joy from the caged bird and discovered, despite the turbulence of his era, that he too could sing and fly from the gift the Lord had given to him, writing poetry. Caged birds have only artificial constraints because their song and their flight are not dependent on their environment. Caged birds have the ability to sing and the audacity to fly because both were given to them by God, who did not say where to use them, only that they were gifts to be used. Just like caged birds, we have God-given ability to sing and the capability to fly. The dawn of a new year challenges us to stress less and change our limitations into strengths by recognizing we were designed by God to sing and to soar. Every one of us has limitations and restrictions that challenge our God-given abilities. So every new year, we are offered the chance to alter our perspective of our cages. We are given the opportunity to sing the song we have in our hearts and to use the wings on our backs that we haven't even noticed were there. Whatever song the Lord has placed on your heart, it needs to be sung, no matter the cage you find yourself. Singing your song and using your wings frees you from the confines of the cage of social, financial, familial, or spiritual bondage that may have been imposed on you, as well as those manufactured by your own choices. Jerry Dunn said, challenge your limits. Don't limit your challenges. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. Be blessed. I have two questions to kick off the year with. In what ways has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? In what ways has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? And question two, what stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? What stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? And now, Matters of Faith family, my very first guest of 2026 is a dear friend. He's an awesome brother, and I'm going to introduce him to some and present him to others. Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff is the senior pastor of the New Tabernacle Baptist Church in the Bronx, New York. Reverend Ratliff began his tenure at New Tabernacle on March 20th, 2011, and was installed as their fifth pastor on October 24th, 2011. Dr. Ratliff attended Hobart College, where he graduated with his Bachelor of Arts in English Studies and minored in Religious Studies in June of 1988. Dr. Ratliff continued his education and earned a Master's of Professional Studies in Pastoral Counseling and a Master of Divinity from New York Theological Seminary. Dr. Ratliff returned to New York Theological Seminary in October of 2018 in anticipation of his doctorate degree, to which he successfully defended his dissertation entitled Guns and Roses and graduated on May 21st, 2022. Dr. Ratliff has always actively served the community, whether it is in ministry or his professional career as a social worker. Since pastoring New Tabernacle Baptist Church, Dr. Ratliff, along with his church family, have conducted a yearly outreach day that serves over 1,000 people in the West Palms community by feeding them, giving out clothes, providing music, health screening, and fun and games for the children. Dr. Ratliff created and planned workshops for the youth and young adults entitled Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself, which have centered around bringing role models to speak with youth in efforts to keep them on the right road. Role models have included former NBA players, noted authors, and sororities, fraternities, who have shared their stories and their testimonies. Dr. Ratliff served on Community Board 6 for several years, where he was instrumental in helping to provide the Bronx with a mall in the Fordham area and plan annual events for the youth. Dr. Ratliff partnered with the Black Institute in tackling and bringing awareness to social justice issues such as rallies behind wage increase for fast food workers, city municipal identification cards for undocumented immigrants, support for pre-K schooling for children, and the need for affordable housing, just to name a few. Dr. Ratliff has worked for prestigious organizations in serving the community, such as the Harlem Children's Zone, where he was involved in community advocacy and helping families in crises by providing services and supervising the unit. Currently, Dr. Ratliff works with special needs children and at-risk youth in the Westchester School District. Dr. Ratliff has also sat on the board of directors for the charter school, School in the Square, which opened in September of 2016. He served as a trustee and member of the community outreach team that assisted in the recruitment of students as required by the State Board of Education. He also sat on the board of directors of or for the United Chaplain State of New York, where he served as their director of education. Dr. Ratliff is he is the president of the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of Greater New York and vicinity, and has been asked to serve on the advisory council of the 67th Clergy Council of Brooklyn, New York. Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff is a loving husband to his wife, Deacon Maria Antoinette Ratliff, of 30 plus years. He is the son of Mother Luzella Ratliff and son-in-law to Mother Helen Jackson. Reverend Ratliff's favorite scripture is Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord, those who've been called according to his purpose. Matters of Faith family, would you welcome with me this evening my very special guest and my friend, this brother of extraordinary talent, skills, and abilities, my friend, Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff.
Now, I think I got it all in there. And so now let me turn my camera on and welcome you officially to the Matters of Faith family tonight, my brother. Happy New Year. And thank you for taking time out of your crazily busy schedule to be a part of our show tonight, man. So
Right.
listen, before you say anything else, I've read your bio. People know something about you, but I know it's not the most updated bio. So why don't you tell us something about you that we don't know and we really should know?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, let me thank you, uh, Dr. Russell, for this opportunity to join you once more and again. I greatly appreciate it, and we've been longtime friends and brothers down through the years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's an honor and privilege for me to be a part of your show on tonight. As you said, the updated version.
Yes.
I have been married for 32 years, so
Well, I did say 30 plus, right?
yeah, so you bail me out of that too. Yeah, and I am the president of the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of Greater New York and Vice City. But one thing people may not know about me is during my reading over the past 3 or 4, maybe even more years, every time I read a book from Amazon, whether I download it or I have it sent to me, after I read it, I will go on and I will critique the book
Mm,
on Amazon, and usually I give it a good rating because most of the time it's something I'm interested in
right,
reading anyhow.
right.
So I'll give it 4 or 5 stars, mostly 5 stars, and tell why I enjoyed the book, and hopefully that'll be a help to somebody else that is looking to read certain material. So that's one of those things that I've picked up in my older years.
That's good though. That's good because I mean, whenever you critique somebody's work, it's easier for them to read a synopsis and somebody else's opinion than
Mm,
just to get the author's opinion about their own work because that tends to be a biased opinion. But let me share this from an author that I know.
mm.
Okay, for the new year, I want to share this with you. What do you want out of life? A car, a house, husband, or a wife? I want better. Better for myself, better for my kids, a better bed to sleep in, a better way to live, better clothes to wear, better food to eat, a better school to learn in, a better job to keep. If anyone asks you, what did you want out of life? No need to write a book, send a message, or even a letter. Just tell them that this poem wanted better.
Amen.
That's nice, isn't it? I like that. You know who wrote
Yeah.
that? You know who wrote that? This
Oh,
guy I know named Hiram Ratliff and stuff. I took it out of his book.
oh my goodness.
Yes, sir. The Black and the Beautiful Side of Us by Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff, by the way, y'all. So I'm giving my kudos to him. I'm doing my own Amazon critique of the work.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's some of the updated stuff that we have been doing, you know.
Yes,
And,
was able to publish that in last year.
hmm,
In the last year, October 2024. And it was poems that I wrote back when I was an undergrad and growing up in Harlem, going off to school in Geneva. I found my voice.
hmm,
I hated it when I first got to Hobart.
really?
My first 2 years was rough, cold,
Hmm,
just a matter of adjustment. If anybody knows anything about upstate, this time of year it can be depressing, along with the weather and what have you. So I found my voice up there. I started writing poetry, and I would recite it at on our radio station. the campus radio station, Rios, and I had Kenny G's in the background, songbirds, to like "There's Nothing Like a Black Woman" and "Be Strong, Black Man" and things of that nature. So that's where I found my voice in writing poetry.
Got
And
it.
I was excited about your show tonight because it deals with that. And we don't really talk about the poetry of the Bible. We don't talk about the metaphors and the similes that are all intertwined from Genesis to Revelations. But the Bible is a book of poetry.
Yeah.
Poetry.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you actually had a little opportunity last night to talk about that, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes, sir.
if
In the
I'm not
breakdown.
mistaken, you did present Bibles to four new ordinants. Now they're
Yeah.
now ordained, and you were the one who presented them with this book that has symmetry and poetry and everything else in it, and you
Mhm.
presented it wonderfully to the
Oh, to
then
God be the glory.
ministers who are now reverends.
Yes, thank you. To God be the glory.
Yes, sir. Yes,
How do
sir.
you present the most important book on the planet?
Right, 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 right.
That
Yeah, how do
it
you?
just speaks for itself, because
Yeah.
God wrote it. God is the author, yeah, of it. So um, it's hard to do something like that, and I pray that I did gave it a little bit of justice
Oh, you
and
did much. You gave it a lot of justice.
yeah,
You gave it correct justice. It was
bless you,
well represented. Well
bless you,
represented. Well
bless
represented.
you.
So having said that, I'm glad because one of the things, and you talked about poetry, and one of the things I mentioned in the devotional that I wrote is that I went to a junior high school that was called Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Now, for those of you who are historians, you know that Paul Laurence Dunbar was a great poet from the
Yes.
1800s who wrote a great deal of poetry and found his voice in poetry, worked at a library and did all kinds of other things. And a lot of people don't know who he is, but they've heard the song that I mentioned, or they read the book that I mentioned. I Know Why a Caged Bird Sings, and they also attributed all of it to Maya Angelou, who was wise enough to have taken that poem in and then elaborated on it and created a book.
Mhm. Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
you're the
sir.
poet laureate, so you talk.
Yeah, well, poetry is an expression. It's a gift.
Mm,
First off, it's a gift, and rap music was born and birthed in the Bronx, and all that is poetry put the music.
yes.
The poems put the
Yeah.
music. Then we have the Song of Solomon in the Bible, which is a poem in and of itself about love. So I think every poem, a poet, I should say, uh, feel has a space in their writing for love, and I know Dunbar did,
Mm,
and also an expression of freedom
hmm.
uh, in terms of why the cage bird sings. We know that the cage bird is locked in to
Yes.
the cage, but yet still manages to belt out a tune, even though that cage bird is meant to fly. But he makes or she makes the best of the space that they're in, and we as a people have we've been trapped and we've been enslaved,
Yeah.
but we've had to make the best out of the
Mm,
space that we're in, and we see such gifted people, poets, writers, singers, actors that have come out of the cage. That's how we've gotten our freedom through the gifts that God has given us. You even look at Israel when they
mm.
wanted them to sing a song in
Right,
Psalms
right.
137, and the question was asked, "How can we
How can
sing
we sing
God's
it?
song
Right.
in a strange
That's
land?"
strange
And
land. Yeah.
we've been doing that for years, and
Yes,
we're
sir.
still
Yes,
doing it
sir. Yes,
today.
sir.
So we're singing it, we're writing, we're acting, we're still using our gifts, and we're a lot freer than we were, but we still have to press on and fight the social injustices in our society, and you know what's going on politically. I don't have to even get into that,
Right.
but we still have to fight for our freedom and still have to use those gifts that God has given us, even in our spiritual and somewhat physical bondage.
Hmm. And that's true, and we have learned that there is a song that's caught up in us, and it's not the circumstances that go on around us that dictate the song that we sing. It's the song that's going on in our heart that determines how we view the cage, if you will, that we reside in. And everybody, we all have cages, but
Mhm.
it's not the cage that we live in. It's the song that we live out of.
That's right.
You know,
That's right. But that gives us that gives us freedom.
absolutely,
That sets us
absolutely.
free,
I
you
think it was
know.
Malcolm X that talked about his time spent in jail. And when he talked about it, he said when I began to really read and understand, I was freer than I'd ever been in my life
Hmm.
while
That's right.
incarcerated,
Yeah.
because it was the incarceration that had him to center himself and find out what was really inside of him and what
Hmm.
he could actually accomplish. And
Yeah.
so my brother did a lot
Yeah.
because he understood that there was a song inside. Didn't matter what was going on the outside. And soon enough, the
Mhm.
outside was affected by the inside,
That's right.
not the other way around.
That's right. And the Apostle Paul wrote some of his greatest epistles
That's right.
when he was locked up.
Hmm.
King wrote one of his greatest speeches
Yep. The
in the
letter from
Birmingham
Birmingham
jail.
jail.
Come on now.
I mean,
Well, we leading up to that, aren't we?
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a lot of times, interestingly enough, it takes a cage to bring out the song.
Hmm.
Now birds have the songs they sing, but instead of being stifled by it, it's allowed to manifest. You allow it to come out. You allow it to come out. I
Hmm.
just I read something that was interesting. I read no inspirational story. And let me share this with you because I thought it was really interesting because it dealt with something that was a little bit odd, right? But listen, an island nation thrived on the fish it caught in the ocean around its shores. But as the island's population grew, more fish were needed to feed everyone, and the fishing boats had to go further and further to catch a sufficient amount of fish. They
Hmm.
encountered a problem, though. The farther they went, the longer it took to bring in their catch. And over the journey, the fish often spoiled and were less attractive to eat. Even if they didn't spoil completely, they had a poor taste, and the people wouldn't pay enough to keep the fishing boats in business. So the owners of the fishing boats invested in freezers for storing their fish. And although the fish didn't spoil, they still didn't taste fresh enough for the people of the island who
Hmm.
refused to pay full price for frozen fish. Looking for a solution, the owners of the fishing boats installed big tanks in their holds. They would catch their fish and dump them into the water-filled tank to bring them back to shore. However, they soon noticed that the fish in the tanks, after thrashing around for a while, became listless and weak. Many died from a lack of exercise, and those that survived still didn't taste fresh and healthy. The fishing boat owners didn't know what to do. Then someone came up with an idea. Listen to this. They filled the tank with fish, then caught a small shark and dropped it in the tank. The shark swam around, hunting the fish and eating a few. But most of the fish survived because they kept swimming around to avoid the shark. They kept active during their voyage back to the island, which made them more appealing and tasty until they were ready for market. What's the point? Here's the point. People need something to motivate them to stay active. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to be fear of being eaten, but it should be something important that seizes their attention and provides sufficient stakes to prevent them from slipping into laziness and growing stale and unappealing to anyone else.
Wow.
That's an amazing
Love
story. I said,
that.
I like that. I like that
Yes,
story.
sir. Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
it's it because what where's the motivation come from? If you need it from the outside, then go get it from the outside, but it can come from the inside.
Right. Yeah, one of my sermons towards the end of the year was you got to move.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking
Hmm.
about that. And when you talked about throwing the shark into the tank and how, the fish had to keep moving in order for them to bring them back and at the right time, take them out and prepare them. Sometimes moving in and of itself is a difficult uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
action, especially when you're used to sitting still.
Right. Right.
The man
Right.
that was
Right.
beside the pool for 38 years, waiting for the movement of the water. Instead of him moving, he's waiting for the water to move.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Jesus told him, "You got to rise up and move. You got to take up your bed and walk." When you think that things are supposed to be the way they've been for years, and you're stuck in your tradition and your way of doing things, and
Yeah.
this is how it's got to be, and this is how I've known it, and if you don't move, you'll never. If you don't try something new, you'll never get a result that you never had before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you don't have to worry about failing. Failing is a good thing
Hmm.
because at least you know what not to do.
Uh-huh.
If you don't fail, how would you ever know what, I'll give you a perfect now modern day example. Um, Cash App kicked me off.
Hmm.
They never told me why.
Hmm.
It's like, so what did I do? They never gave me an answer.
Right.
So how can you correct something if you never know what you did wrong?
That's right.
You can't. So
That's right.
sometimes making the error and then finding out what the problem was, why you failed. So if you
Mhm.
don't, if you can't gain the victory, at least learn a lesson.
Right.
At least learn a lesson. Don't treat people like Cash App. Don't tell them nothing and
Right.
just let them kind of fumble around in the dark and try to figure it out themselves. That's not the way this works.
Right.
Learn from your mistakes.
And this is where we miss it too, Dr. Russell. People leave the church
Hmm.
and they just disappear. Nobody tells the pastor or says anything to them as to why they're leaving.
Yeah.
Something can
Yeah.
happen in the church that hurt their feelings or what have you, or maybe they found a better church.
Hmm.
But at least if you sit down and have that discussion with the pastor or the board or what have you, uh, they can put things in place,
Right.
so that it'll make the ministry stronger.
Hmm.
Look, you leave your job, 9 times out of 10, if you've been there, they'll ask for an exit interview.
Yep. Yep.
So, okay, well, why are you leaving? Is it because of more money? Is
Right.
a better job, a better situation in terms of benefits? What's the purpose? Why are you leaving? But then when
Right.
people just up and leave
Right.
and don't say anything,
Right.
you just left out there.
Right. Now, if you
So
get
how do you
fired, it's a
grow
different
from that?
story.
Like you
You get
said,
fired, it's a different story, right? So if you get
yeah.
fired, they know why you left. Say, we know
Nah,
why
nah.
you left. But you're right. But there's always a lesson to be learned. There's always a lesson to be learned. And
Mhm.
yes, a good employer will absolutely sit you down and have an exit interview with you to find out what we can do better. And sometimes they ask that question, what can we do better? What can we do that could have made you stay?
Mhm. Yes, definitely, definitely, and that's how you grow.
Yes.
And that's how you learn, because we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So they kept making the same mistake over and over and over again,
Mm,
and the fish wasn't still as fresh. So they
exactly.
had to go to try something else, try
Try
something
something
new.
else. Try something else. And
Because
then you put
insanity is doing the same
right.
thing over and over and
Exactly,
over,
exactly. And it's
expecting
interesting
different
because
results.
they did what you and I would have done initially, right? Get a freezer, put some water in there, and let it. But it still wasn't appealing to the people who were supposed to receive what they had fished for, right? They still didn't want it. So they
Right,
had to figure out something because other than that, they would have gone out of business. It's interesting
right,
what money does, right? Money's a great motivator.
yeah,
And so they decided, now they asked somebody, and someone unknown came up with the idea, get a small shark,
Right.
put that in the tank,
Right.
and let
Right.
them let them get a few fish.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
soon they'll be full, and then you'll get the rest.
Yeah. And in our personal lives, sometimes our haters become our motivators.
Absolutely. Well, what did the Bible say? I will make your enemy your footstool.
Footstool. Hmm.
Footstool.
And then prepare a table before them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For you
Right,
in
right.
presence of your enemies.
I mean, it's interesting because I think sometimes we forget that our God understands where we are and what we're challenged with every day, and has already provided the answers to all of those questions if we trust Him.
Right. Right. That's the key. Trust.
Trust, trust, trust. You know, I said this to someone today. I was in a store, I was looking for something, and I stopped at the store, and me and this young lady got to speaking, and I said, "Well, let me share with you what I shared with my congregation on yesterday, in terms of a new year, not a resolution, but a position." I said, "Stress less,
Mhm.
trust more,
Mhm.
live blessed in 2026."
Right.
I'll say it. I'll tell again. I said, "Less stress,
Hmm.
trust more,
Hmm.
live blessed in 2026." She said, "I don't know about that trust part." I said, "Well, it depends on who you trust in." I
Hmm.
said, "Who do you trust?" She said, "Oh, I trust in the Lord." I said, "Well, there it is." There it is. I said, it's who you put your trust in. That's what
Yeah.
counts. She said, I can take that. I received that." And she went on about her business.
Yeah. Yeah. But you also, she also got to recognize the Lord in other people.
Absolutely.
That's where the deception comes in.
That's a good observation. That's right. You got to see the God in other people.
Right. Because you can say you trust in the Lord, yeah, but you know, but you got to see you're dealing with people now.
Right.
And
Right.
a lot of times we don't have a tendency to trust people, especially when they turn around and and kick us, stab us in the back. We say, "Oh, well, I'm not going to let this person hurt me anymore. I'm not going to let this person do this, that, or the other to
Mm,
me anymore." But you still have to see the God in people. That's not everybody. That's not everyone that's not every man that's going to mistreat you, or every woman that's going to mistreat you when it comes to relationships.
Now that's an interesting point. Maybe we should dive into that. How do you see the God in other people? The
Mm,
namaste. How do you do that?
mm. Well, by being around them, number one, by hearing what they say, and seeing whether or not it adds up with what they do. Action speaks louder than words. If you say you love me, you can't love me and mistreat me.
Mm,
You know, and say you love me, and then if you do hurt my feelings, at least apologize for it.
mm,
A lot of times the hardest two words to say in the English language is "I'm sorry."
mm,
See, when we say "I'm sorry," that admits that we made a mistake, that we may be guilty of something,
mm.
and I hurt you, and that's still how you build trust, because we have friends that we love, family that we love, and they do hurt us, but all it takes in rebuilding that relationship is an apology and
Mm,
not do it again.
mm, mm. But let me ask you, for some people, you know, to apologize is more than just recognizing that something is wrong or that I've done something wrong. For some people, to apologize means that I'm not just wrong, but this allows me an opportunity to be in control because I've always been the one who's been afflicted or
Mhm.
attacked. And
Mhm.
so now I'm in a position where I can do that to you. So I'm not really sorry. I'm glad I can do it because now I'm not the one that's being attacked. And so they live out of that reality in their own minds.
Right. That's the bully syndrome.
Okay.
So that's the bully syndrome. The reason why a person 9 times out of 10 is a bully is because they've been bullied
Right.
before, and they said, you know what, I'm not gonna take this no more. But I'm now I become the bully.
Mm.
Hurt people hurt people at
Yes.
the end of the day, and we're all dealing with some type of trauma,
Mm.
you know, whether it be past or present, and it's how we deal with those traumas dictates how we treat others in reference to those traumas that we've not handled, or that we haven't we're still dealing with, or are trying to get over, or trying to heal from. Hurt hurt people
Yeah.
hurt others.
So when that happens, I mean, here we are trying to see the God in somebody else, and we got this hurt person in front of us who's hurting the heck out of us. Um, I want to see the God in you, but you making me you just, you hurting me. How can I see the God in you and you keep every time I think I see something good in you, you throw another rock at me and you hit me upside my head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
that's
first off,
challenging, isn't it?
first off, when somebody hurts you, we don't do it like the Bible says. We don't go to that person and tell them
Right.
you offended me. That's number one. We don't even do that. We walk around with the fence, and sometimes the people know, sometimes they don't know. Maybe we're giving them the benefit of the doubt, and they may not know, but and then they may know. So that we're walking around with that fence. We don't go to
Hmm.
them. But I realize in our Christian walk, it's sometimes it's not so much always what we give. Sometimes it's how much we can take.
Hmm.
What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There are situations in my life, and you can probably say the same thing in your life, that you just had to shut your mouth and let the Lord fight the battle, you
Yeah.
know, which is not always an easy thing to do, but when you do it, he fights it better than we do. I'm sure that the times when you could felt like just standing there and giving it back word for word, and then you look back on it and you say, man, I should have just walked away from it, or there are times where you did take it and left it there, and you saw how God handled the situation.
Hmm.
You know, you put it in His hands. You said, Lord, you saw this. You saw what happened. I went to this person. I told them, and they keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then sooner or later, God steps in.
Yeah. Okay.
God will step in,
Okay.
and deal with it.
That's very I like that because you don't always have to defend, quote unquote, yourself.
Hmm.
God is a better defender than you are.
Hmm.
God can do things that we cannot do because he can touch hearts. We can only maybe reach a mind, but we can't really touch a heart. But he
Yeah.
can touch your heart, change you.
Well, listen, going back to your article, Habakkuk,
Yeah.
that's a that's a book where the prophet scratches his head in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He says, Lord, how can you use a nation
Yeah.
that's more evil,
Yeah.
more wicked
Yeah.
than your people, to punish them and to bless them? And yet, and you hear us crying, how can
Mm.
you use them to discipline us? And
Right.
they're worse than we are. But at the end of it, God says, you know what, I'm gonna do something. When he prays that prayer, Habakkuk, he starts in prayer, but he ends in praise.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
he ends in praise. He's like, my feet are like hinds feet,
I, that's right.
and I'm going to dance on this mountain. I'm going to dance on this cliff.
That's right.
you know, I'm coming out victorious here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that I mean, it's in there. It's that poetry, that imagery that lets us know that cage bird singing that I may be afflicted, but I'm gonna sing my song anyway. I
Mm.
may be hurting, but I'm gonna write my poem. I may be afflicted, but I'm still gonna come out victorious.
Mm.
And it starts where you are.
That's right. It starts with right where you are and with who you are. And so sometimes the change has to take place on the inside, right? The song has to be recognized on the inside so that the song can then become manifest on the outside.
Yeah.
So you start right where you are.
And sometimes we're guilty of putting people in cages in the body of Christ.
Oh, no question about it. No question.
You know, we are
We
guilty
put them in
of
coffins. We don't put them in cages. We put them in coffins. We bury them. Bury
look,
them.
I'm being nice. I'm
Dead.
being nice.
Dead.
But you know, we say, okay, we put you in this box, yeah, that coffin or that cage. We put you there. This is how far you can go.
Right.
And no further. You
Right.
know, if somebody sings, that's all they can do is sing. We don't think that they can do anything else but sing. That's what they do. They've been singing for years, so God calls them to preach, and then they're preaching now, but we can still see them as a singer.
Mm. Mm.
We put people in cages. We say, you can do this over here, but you can't do that over there because, I don't believe God called you to that.
And then think about that same thing that you just said. Not only did we put them in box because we say that you're not you're a singer, but sometimes they put themselves in a box because
Mm-hmm.
the Lord has called them to preach, and they go up to preach and they sing more than they preach. So now you have to recognize that you've been called into something different. And if you
Right,
know that, then you have to step boldly into that calling. You can't
right,
stay where you were and get where you're going.
right. And what keeps them there? Fear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's my comfort zone. I know I can do this. But
Mm-hmm.
that over there, that's
Mm-hmm.
strange to me. And so
That's right.
it's really interesting how circumstances can sort of shape the way we think. And if you look at it, it's not the place that you're standing in, but the place that you're going. And the journey becomes the real test of your faith. Can you
Mm-hmm.
can you sustain the journey?
Right. Right, right. And we can't allow fear to
Oh,
paralyze us and
absolutely.
keep us.
Absolutely.
You'll
Absolutely.
never get everything God has for you, He wants for you,
Right.
and He wants you to represent Him and get glory out of it. And you scared.
Right.
You scared to move from one job to another. You scared to open up a business.
Right. Right. Right.
Huh?
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
scared because you don't know what the outcome's gonna be.
Right. Yeah. Fear is forward. Nobody's afraid of yesterday, but people are afraid of tomorrow. But
Mhm.
you have to step boldly into that which God is calling you to, because if you do not, then you're stuck in the past. You're stuck where you don't belong anymore.
Mm-hmm. And
You know,
you stuck celebrating past victories.
absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the failures of Israel was after they took Jericho, they went into Ai.
Mm,
Ai should have been a easy victory for Israel. They had just
right.
conquered the great
Right.
Jericho,
Exactly.
but because they didn't do it God's way,
Mm.
they got whipped because
I mean,
somebody did
bad too.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got it
some,
handed to them.
that's right. You know, hey, it should have been an easy victory, but guess what? They still looking back in the past.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we took Jericho. AI is not going to be
Yep.
no problem.
And that's interesting because I think we do that oftentimes ourselves. The cages that we sort of manufacture in our own minds. You know, we think that, okay, I got through that. Now I can get through this, and I'm going to
Mhm.
use the same tactics that I used back there. But sometimes you have to change the way you do it. You remember the story that was sung by the Mississippi Mass Choir, the Birds?
Yeah,
And the lyrics go, the birds have been in the cage so long that even though the door was wide open, they wouldn't come out.
that's
And,
right.
and he had to stick his hand in the cage. The little boy stuck his hand in the cage and brought the birds. He said, you're free because I paid the price.
That's
And then
right.
he equated that with Christ, which was an
Mhm.
amazing analogy. But yes, we get sometimes caught up and we get stuck in the cage, and we've been in there so long that we forget that we were meant to fly and to soar.
Right,
God didn't
right.
create us to be in cages.
And then he's created us to be different
Right.
because a
Right.
lot of times we do because we see somebody else do it. What
Yeah.
works for you Dr. Russell, may not necessarily work for me. What works for the church around the corner may not work
Right.
for New Tabernacle Baptist Church. And
Correct.
so we want to imitate that. We want to do what somebody else has done, or we want to imitate what somebody
Right.
else has
Right.
get done, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work for us.
Mm.
And we fail at it,
Right.
and we
Right.
make a laughing stock out of ourselves
Right.
because we're trying to be because we're not trying to be different. We're trying to be like everybody else.
Correct. Correct. You know what I found? I was in sales for a long time. Sales and marketing. That was my thing.
Mm,
I guess I'm still in sales and marketing. I guess that never changed. But you know what I found out is that I was a good salesperson. I did very, very well.
mm,
And one of the reasons that I did well is because I listened. I was with a major insurance company, and they knew what they were doing.
mm,
And I was smart enough to let them teach me what they knew.
mm,
And what they taught me is that sales is not about your articulation.
mm,
It's not about your ability to persuade people.
mm,
It's about your understanding what your product is
mm.
and then talking to a whole lot of people.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
so they gave us a formula.
Yeah.
And that formula said if you do X, Y, and Z,
Hmm.
you're gonna, on average, come up with this X.
Hmm.
On average, not every
Okay.
time, right?
Right.
But on average, you're gonna come up with this.
Hmm.
And I said, but that's too simple. So
Right.
I tried to do it my way.
Right.
And I did, I said, but wait a minute, hold on for a second. I'm with this multi-billion-dollar corporation. They got
Hmm.
more people doing this successfully than any other company in the industry.
Hmm.
And I want to do it my way.
Hmm.
I looked in the mirror and said, are you stupid or something?
Hmm.
And you know what Forrest Gump's mama said, right? Stupid is, stupid does. So I
That's
said,
it.
and that was before Forrest Gump came, before that movie came out. And I said, okay, I'm going to try this.
Hmm.
And I did it the way they prescribed it. Not only did it work, but it worked so well that I was able to apply that same formula in many different areas that I went to work in my life because
Hmm.
it's the formula, it's the process that was important, not
Right.
the end results. The end results you can't manage that anyway. Churches sometimes do the same thing. They want to emulate something, but they didn't go through the process. If you don't go through the process of becoming, when you
Come
get there, you
on.
won't even recognize yourself because you
All
don't know who
right.
you are. You
Come
you
on.
imitating somebody. You look like are supposed to be there, but when they start examining you up close, when you start looking up close, you have no foundation because you didn't go through the process.
That's right. And it reminds me, what you're saying reminds me of preaching. You know,
Yes,
what makes one preacher different from another? It's personality. It's
absolutely,
who you are when you
absolutely,
come to the text. People don't realize it's not just about the knowledge,
right,
but it's the personality, it's the character that people see. You know, even though you were a salesman and you had the process down, you still brought your personality
absolutely,
to the process
absolutely,
and who
absolutely,
you are. So the way you went forward with it will be different from somebody else, even though you use the same material or what have you. But it was you who you brought to that process,
right,
your
right, right,
personality.
right. I could not be anybody else, and,
Hmm.
and it's interesting. Ministry is the same way. I may like the way a person presents something, right? I may think it's great, but if I try to do it the way they did it, it's gonna show up as being phony,
Right.
unauthentic,
That's
inauthentic.
right.
It's gonna be,
Inauthentic. Exactly.
it's because it's not you. You
Right.
be who you are. You said
That's
something
right.
earlier, right? You said something earlier. You said, I found my voice in poetry. You said that
Mhm.
earlier, right?
Yes. Hmm.
Well, I was the president of the Baptist Ministers, Associate Ministers Auxiliary of the United Missionary Baptist Association for about 6 years.
That's right.
And during that
Hmm.
entire time, you know what my whole theme was?
No.
Find your voice in ministry.
Mm.
Find your voice in ministry.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
reason I did that is because many, many churches and denominations will tell you that preaching is ministry, and it is. But there's a whole lot of other things going on in ministry.
Right.
That you may not be the person who can stand up in the pulpit or be the pastor of a church.
Right.
That may not be what God called you for.
That's right.
But
That's right.
he put you in ministry just like he did the other person. But if you don't know that, then you're chasing a wagon that doesn't have room for you.
Right.
That's not the wagon you should be on.
Right.
You should be on another, going in a different direction, because that's what God has assigned to you. But you're just as much in ministry. So I tell, find your voice. And I found that out, Doc, because I used to work as ministry support for years. What does that mean? That means that I did financial services. I still do that. You know that, right? I
Right.
help pastors in areas that they are not competent in,
Exactly.
so
Yep.
that they can do the work without having to pretend that they know everything, because they don't know everything. Nobody knows everything.
Right. Right.
And so I was just as much in full-time ministry. And I remember saying to many people that had asked, well, would you put in an application and be our pastor? I said, I can't do that because I'm in full-time ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that because
They probably looked at you scratching their head like, what?
exactly. Because I'm not going to shortchange you because I have another ministry assignment. It's an assignment by God. When he
Right.
releases me from that assignment, then I will do something different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Recognizing what my call is in ministry,
Right.
what my
Right.
song is that's singing in my heart. I
Your
can't sing
voice.
your song.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
can't sing it all, but I can't sing your song.
Uh-huh.
But
And
that's
I
what
can't sing yours.
exactly. Exactly. And when we recognize that, then what we do is we complement each other. Right?
Right.
I see the God in you. You see
Mm-hmm.
the God in me. We come
Mm-hmm.
together and we make God appear for people all over the place. They say, now
That's it.
look they see God working in
In
you,
us.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
That's what I
sir.
like.
That's
That
beautiful,
makes
man.
me smile.
Yeah, yeah, because we have a habit of imitating.
Yes.
God is God is not looking for copies. He's
Yes.
looking for originals.
Right. Exactly.
We
Exactly.
got too many copies in the body of Christ and not enough originals. What I do during the week is a part of my call when I go upstate and work with those kids that'll cuss you out and,
hmm
and get
hmm
in your face, and I gotta tell them to sit down, listen to the teacher, and follow them out the classroom, and this, that, and the other, But that's part of my call. That's part of my voice.
hmm
That's just as important as me pastoring a church,
Yes. Absolutely.
if not more,
Absolutely.
because these kids don't know. They don't know the Christ, the God
Right.
that
Right.
we know.
Right. Right. And it's interesting because they'll come back later. They'll meet you at a space and at a place. Let me tell you something that happened to me one day that blew me away. It blew me away. I had spoken at Manhattanville College.
Mhm,
They had several foster care agencies there, and I was the keynote speaker for that group.
mhm,
And these are adolescents, and I spoke for this group. And didn't think anything of it, did best I could, went there, did that. But one day I was driving through White Plains, and it was one of those days when I felt like, you know, man, Lord, what I mean, what I'm just I'm feeling like I'm having a Job experience, right?
mhm.
And I heard somebody yell, Mr. Russell, Mr. Russell. What? So, and the guy's down there, Mr. Russell. And I pull over. It's one of the kids that was at that conference.
Oh, wow.
I didn't recognize him.
Uh-huh.
He said, Mr. Russell, Mr. Russell. He said, oh my God. He said, I saw you and I knew it was you. I knew it was you. He said, you don't remember me, do you? I said, no, no, I don't. He said, you spoke at Manhattanville College and I was there and you said something. He told me what I said. He said, it changed my life.
Wow.
I said, what? He said, I'm so glad to see you. I don't know. He said, I think about you all the time. And I'm looking and saying, Lord, thank you. Thank you. Because sometimes you think that what you do makes no impact, none
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
You never know what seed you've planted.
That's right.
You never know. So
That's right.
stress less and be blessed in 2026 because the work that you do is important. God recognizes it. He doesn't miss it. We miss it, but he never misses it.
That's right.
Never. Never. So by
That's
the way,
right.
listen, we're at that point in our broadcast. You know, this is going really fast, but it's really good too. It's really
Yes, sir.
I want to throw back on the screen our stuff. I'm gonna go disappear for a moment. We're gonna do our recognize our sponsors and advertisers, read the article again, and we're gonna bring in the second half of this broadcast tonight some of the comments that have been made by some of the persons who are watching. And a lot of comments have already been made. But again, I wanna challenge you guys to answer the question that we placed out there for you tonight. The first one was, in what ways has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? And the second question, I normally don't ask two, but I'm asking two tonight. You can answer either one you want. What stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? And then when we come back, Dr. Ratliff and I will continue our conversation, but we're going to bring your comments into the conversation so that you're not just a fly on the wall, but you're part of the discussion. Is that okay? So we're going to sort of disappear for just a moment, and we're going to go from there. So, Dr. Ratliff, you can whatever, but we'll be back in just a minute.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
And please, ma'am, please, sir, don't forget to support our sponsors and advertisers, the JLR Company and J. Lauren R. Consulting LLC for all your church financial consulting needs. JLORENR at JLR.LLC or call 718 328 8096. It's not about the castle, it's all about the kingdom. And Matters of Faith, the book. The hard copy can be acquired from our Zelle account, JLORENR at JLR.LLC. The book is $24.15. You can also send a check or money order to the JLR Company, Post Office Box 301, New York, New York 10035. That's P.O. Box 301, New York, New York 10035. And you can also get it as an ebook, so you can take it with you wherever you go. www.smashwords.com/books/view/993177. And don't forget to check out the Eat Okra app for black owned restaurants and a whole lot more about food all over the nation. That's right, Eat Okra. Professional, compassionate, and family friendly. Services at your time of bereavement. John J. Fox and Sons Incorporated Funeral Services. If you need them, know that they proudly serve the Bronx community and have been doing so for the last 125 years. When you're in need, give them a call. 718-733-9114. That's 718-733-9114. John J. Fox and Sons Funeral Services. Your focus in your business are on profitability, and rightly so. Your church is on spiritual excellence, and it should be. But if you let E.G. Edwards and Associates Incorporated handle your accounting and taxation needs, they do it with competence and professional excellence, and it will take your mind off of a lot of the things that you need to do in order to maintain your business profitability and your spiritual excellence. They're just a phone call away. 718-949-5181. 718-949-5181. E.G. Edwards and Associates are here to help. 718-949-5181. And please get your subscription to Better Mag magazine today. A 2-year subscription is still only $27.50, and you can get it by going to www.abettermag.com. That's www.abettermag.com. And please, ma'am, please, sir, subscribe, like, and share our Matters of Faith YouTube channel. That's Matters of Faith YouTube channel. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the Matters of Faith blog. just go to www.mattersoffaith.blog, put in your email address, tap the sign me up link, and you'll get an email. Confirm it, and anytime and every time anything is published through Matters of Faith, you will be notified. So make sure that you support and sponsor our advertisers and our sponsors. I'm still super excited about our Matters of Faith blog. Please go to www.mattersoffaith.blog, www.mattersoffaith.blog. Click the subscribe button. Type in your email address. Hit that bar that says sign me up. You will receive a confirmation of thanks and then a confirmation email. If you confirm that, you will receive everything that we publish. www.mattersoffaith.blog. And now the devotional, Stress Less and Be Blessed in 2026. The link to that devotional can be found at mattersoffaith.blog. That's www.mattersoffaith.blog. You can also find the devotional in the Yonkers Insider, www.yonkersinsider.blogspot.com. That's www.yonkersinsider.blogspot.com. The column is also carried in Better Mag magazine, www.abettermag.com, www.abettermag.com. It can also be found in the Positive Community magazine and or their newsletter, www.thepositivecommunity.com. That's www.thepositivecommunity.com. The column is also carried in Pamela's Big Heart newsletter. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. Habakkuk chapter 3 verses 17 through 19, New King James Version. Though the fig tree may not blossom, nor fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the field yields no food, though the flock may be cut off from the field, and there be no herds in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord is my strength. He will make my feet like deer's feet, and he will make me walk on high hills. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. There is a famous poem entitled I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, penned by Paul Laurence Dunbar, and inspired a book of the same name written by Maya Angelou that has become a literary classic. Birds were not designed to be caged. They were designed to sing and to fly. But in man's quest to harness nature, we create cages to hold birds for our pleasure. Yet despite their restrictive and limiting environment, their resiliency allows the caged bird to defeat their frustration, vent their misery, express their excitement for life, and create beauty through the gift of song the Lord has placed in their heart. Paul Laurence Dunbar heard the songs of joy from the caged bird and discovered, despite the turbulence of his era, that he too could sing and fly from the gift the Lord had given to him, writing poetry. Caged birds have only artificial constraints because their song and their flight are not dependent on their environment. Caged birds have the ability to sing and the audacity to fly because both were given to them by God, who did not say where to use them, only that they were gifts to be used. Just like caged birds, we have God-given ability to sing and the capacity, the capability to fly. The dawn of a new year challenges us to stress less and change our limitations into strengths by recognizing we were designed by God to sing and to soar. Every one of us has limitations and restrictions that challenge our God-given abilities. So every new year, we are offered the chance to alter our perspective of our cages. We are given the opportunity to sing the song we have in our hearts and to use the wings on our backs that we haven't even noticed were there. Whatever song the Lord has placed on your heart, it needs to be sung, no matter the cage you find yourself. Singing your song and using your wings frees you from the confines of the cage of social, financial, familial, or spiritual bondage that may have been imposed on you, as well as those manufactured by your own choices. Jerry Dunn said, challenge your limits. Don't limit your challenges. Stress less and be blessed in 2026. Be blessed. And now the two questions that I have for you tonight. In what ways has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? Let me ask it again. In what ways has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? And my second question, what stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? Again, what stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? Now, well, my guest is back with us for another time. I'm glad he's here. He and his lovely wife, Marie Antoinette Ratliff, are pastor and leading lady of the New Tabernacle Baptist Church in the Boogie Down Bronx, New York, where he's active in the community, working with the police department and other places to bring safety, to remove guns from the street. He's also active and involved in the church life and in the lives of ministers in and around the city, being the president of the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of New York and vicinity. So, Matters of Faith family, would you please welcome with me tonight my very special guest and my friend, the Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff.
All right. So we're back. So
Yes, sir.
you want to tell us what we're looking at?
Oh, thank you. Well, first off, you're looking at me and my better half, Lady Maria Antoinette Ratliff, in that first picture, and then on the my right, with a mic in my mouth and a fist raised up. That was one of our community outreaches that we were doing. Um, uh, and we were out there having different non-for-profits giving people food and had the bouncy house and all that for the kids. The picture below is our most recent communion that we had for the first year, which was yesterday. Amen, for the first communion of the year. And then under that is the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of Greater New York and vicinity, the officers, my first vice and my second vice, along with my secretaries and the treasurers and the leading lady over the ministers' wives, widows, and spouses. And then that's another picture of me talking with one of the community officers at the outreach that we sponsor. And you'll be surprised how much work that goes into even putting together just a day of outreach where you get your permits and you try to bring community together, not just the officers, but also the politicians to come and bless the community. And it was really a day of great expectation and great accomplishment and a great coming together of community and church. And I believe that's what God would have us do. I said, I wish I could do this during the summer every weekend, but like I said, it's a lot that goes into it, a lot of sacrifice from the church, and in terms of finance and things of that nature, and a lot of putting things in place to make that day happen and occur. So we've been blessed to do that up until the pandemic, and we've also had little smaller outreaches where we've given out food, even during the Thanksgiving period when the SNAP benefits were cut off and then put back on, and then we've given out clothes and also gourmet meals to the community. We have a great borough president, you know that,
Yeah, we do.
and that the Honorable Vanessa.
She was my guest a few weeks ago.
I said what?
She was my guest a few weeks ago.
Oh yeah, okay, great. Yeah, yeah. And she's all about community. She's all about church. So, and church and working together with us as we serve in the community. And she's able to also bless us and give us a hand in doing things of that nature.
Yeah.
So yeah, so those are the pictures that you see, and thank you for the photo op.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I like
Appreciate
to
it.
do that. I like to, give people an opportunity to get a chance to know who you are outside of the role that they may know you in.
Right.
Because, we don't know everything about anyone, but when you begin to hear stories about and see, visuals of persons' lives in different areas, you get a holistic understanding of who they really are and the lives they can impact through the things that the Lord has placed in their heart. So the songs that they sing, the wings that they fly with, then you get to see that they're not just a single entity person, but they do a lot of things. In fact, let me share something with you. I think this would be good, right? If you could see the world through my eyes, you would know how beautiful and wonderful this world could be. If you could see the world through my eyes, it would be a world where African Americans and Caucasians live in harmony. If you could see the world through my eyes, you would picture a place with fruit on every tree. If you could see the world through my eyes, it would be a world without hunger or poverty. If you could see the world through my eyes, you would know that only God holds the key. If you could see the world through my eyes, you would know that this is where I long to be. So
Amen.
I'm promoting this for you. I want you guys to understand that this is a marvelous book of poetry, and I'm
Yes, you got.
encouraging you to get this book. So would you tell us how you can acquire this book? Just tell them how they can get this book.
Sure. I mean, you can go on either Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or you can reach out to me personally, and I'll send you a signed copy,
Okay,
autograph copy.
like that, like
You
that,
got yours.
like
Yes.
that, like that. Put your
Yeah,
name in
yeah,
it. Put your name
yeah.
on it.
I'll
Yeah,
send
yeah,
you an
yeah, yeah.
autograph copy. Now my next book is with the publisher. Now it's the thought process and the reason why I wrote the first one. We discussed it
Right.
a little bit before, and it deals more with my life growing up in Harlem, ministry,
Mhm.
and a challenge to the world to get back to God,
Mm,
or to get to God, and to get back to God
mm,
through the life of the poets, prophets, a couple of prophets. So yeah, so it's not poetry, even though I opened the book that I've written with Harlem, and I ended with the revival um, piece that I wrote. But yeah, it gives you the mindset of what growing up in the 80s and 90s, what it was like for me, and coming up in ministry, working in social services, and how that kind of parallels with what I
mm,
did, what I've done in ministry with families and youth and families in crisis, working with the Harlem Children's Zone,
mhm,
uh,
mhm,
working upstate, going to school, to further my education, and how even God opened doors in that regard. Family, the
mhm,
importance of coming from a single parent household, and what that was like. Um, Marrying and having a partner in ministry, growing up in the church, started out in St. Matthew's Baptist Church under the late John J. Sass. My
okay.
mother
Mhm.
used to take me there, but we lived around the corner from Antioch. So
Ah,
uh, as I got older, around 14 years old, I said I joined Antioch Baptist Church, was baptized, and I started on the choir. That's where you start. It seems like in the church, either a choir or on the wall. As an usher, you know that was your training ground. But Harlem was going through a time, man, with crack, and it just turned our urban environments upside down, man. And young cats that I knew and heard about were getting killed because they were selling drugs, and young ladies were selling their bodies for
the
for
Lord.
money to buy crack. It
Right,
was it
right,
was
right,
terrible, you
right.
know. Uh, as aggressive as America says they are now with
Mhm.
drugs, I wish they was aggressive back then, and maybe we would have kept communities the way they were when people looked out for one another in the 70s and, in the early, maybe the early or earlier 80s. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a little older than you are, and so I saw it twice. I saw it with the heroin epidemic, and
mhm,
I saw it with the crack epidemic.
mhm,
And it was horrendous in both instances. There was never, in my estimation, a war on drugs. It was a war on the people who were using the drugs.
right.
We did not bring into the community, but we suffered because of it.
Mhm,
And we suffered across the board. I remember, they had what it was called the Rockefeller laws,
right.
and they would put people, sentence them to, massive numbers of years for using drugs.
Mhm,
Get it. They were addicted. They were, essentially addicts, and
right.
you know, they were then penalizing them by giving them terms of 30 and 40 years in prison. And
Yeah.
they're just coming home now.
Right.
I,
Wow.
I mean, I have a friend that grew up with, I grew up, he was older than I was, but he was released from prison. He was 71 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. I saw him, and this is a diversion, but it's like the same thing, stress less and be blessed in 2026. But I remember running into him, and I hadn't seen him. I heard he was out, but I didn't know what he looked like. Because last
Mhm,
time I saw him, he was a teenager.
mhm,
This guy comes, he's like 70 years old. And so, but he was in great physical shape. I
mhm,
never would have recognized him. And he told me his name. I said, you got to be kidding me. But I say that to say this, that we were talking and he had an appointment. He said he went to see someone to help him out with some clothes and other things, one of these programs. And he got there and they said, I'm sorry, sir, we can't help you. And it was in Brooklyn.
mhm,
He went all the way, no, yeah, it's Brooklyn. He went to always Brooklyn, got lost on because he hadn't been on trains in 40 years,
mhm,
50 years.
mhm,
So he gets there and it's like, we can't help you, sir. We said, our age limit is 65.
mhm.
Over the age, and we can't help you. See, like it took me 3 hours to get here, and you can't help me? No, sorry. And they sent him away. But
Mm,
we were talking, he and I, and a couple of other friends, and those friends, likewise, like myself, involved in church.
mhm,
And we knew each other going back to kids' life. So one of them said, hey, come to my church tomorrow. I got you.
mhm,
We have a clothing pantry. He
mhm,
said, I got you.
mhm,
He went there. He got 2 or 3 suits, shirts,
mhm,
shoot the whole 9 yards,
mhm.
whole 9 yards.
Wow.
So what I say that to say this, God showed up just when he needed it. Because
Right.
had he gotten it from the secular place,
Mhm.
God wouldn't have gotten the glory.
Right.
God got the glory in this. And
Right.
so I see the brother, he's moved now to like North Carolina or something like that, but he used to come to church on a regular basis, showed up
Mhm.
different churches because he felt that. So I say that to say that we all have to be careful to know that God doesn't forget. He watches us. He still
Right.
sees us. By the way, let me share some of the things that have been said because I want to bring them into the conversation. Those persons who are here. First, the first
Mm,
person who commented was Carla uh, Watson. Carla Watson. That's my friend Andrew's wife. She
mhm.
said, good evening, Reverend Dr. Russell. Glad to be on Matters of Faith on Saturday at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. Queen Esther District Grand Chapter had a prayer breakfast. And guess who was the guest preacher? It was Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff. His message of power of prayer.
Mhm.
Gotcha. I
Mhm.
was there with Sister Carla Watson. Andrew says the same. He was there with her. He says, let's see. And then she says, Leon, you know this brother, you know this guy. His name is Leon Ross. You know that guy? I think you know.
Yeah.
If you
Mhm.
feel God, if you trust God, he will show you who he is with the spirit of discernment.
Mhm.
And then I'm not sure. I don't know what the tags are on some of them, but I'll just read it. I can relate. I got suspended from Facebook, and they never told me, we were talking about that. They never told
Right.
me why. An ex suspended me for calling out Tim Scott. I was exercising my First Amendment rights, so I closed the account.
Mhm.
Andrew says, leave it to God. In God's hands, sometimes you have to remove yourself. And then Lisa, she grew up with us as well. Lisa said sometimes when you stand next to people, you can feel God
Mm.
through the goosebumps. God shows on your face, it glows. You know when God presents is in someone, you can feel it. And someone said, Amen. When a person changes in ministry, the thing that they need to learn is how to balance their gifts, not abandon them. And you see, we should not be copycats, but allow God to mold us into what He called us to be.
Mm.
That's that. Laura Rivers is your secretary.
Yeah.
Reverend
Mm-hmm.
Rivers. There we go. That's Reverend
Mm-hmm.
Rivers. She said that.
Mm-hmm.
He said that. And Leon says, an old preacher once told me, every dog has his own bark.
Earth.
Oof, 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 oof. And let's see. God makes originals and not duplicates. Psalms 139:14, fearfully and wonderfully made. And Ephesians 2:10, God's masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And Kia Bernard, keeping me steadfast in faith. So now I'm challenging you again to the questions. I'm going to tag them so that you will see them. In what ways, has God sustained you even when outward evidence of blessings were not visible? I want you to answer that question. The second question is similar, but it really asks this: what stress has been most difficult for you to release and why? Now that's personal, right? If you don't want to share it, I get that. But I always like the questions to make you take an introspective look so that you can see how God is working things out in your life. That's always important to me. So the questions are always sort of self-reflective so that you can look and then dig into yourself and see how God is really talking to you. What is he saying to you? How has he brought you through? And then when you look back over your life, and you mentioned it earlier, Pastor, the testimonies that we give, the testimonies are not only revelatory to the person that's hearing it, but it's also reinforcing to us because it reminds us of where he brought us from. That
Right.
he's not been slack. Go ahead.
Yeah. Russell, there's Dr. Russell.
No, that's fine. Russell's fine. I know who I am.
there's been plenty of times even in my life where I felt like throwing in the towel, giving up,
Mm,
whether it be on a job or whether it be in the church, and even with this past with the pandemic,
mm,
I was in this demon program, and we had finished our classes, but the pandemic hit in 2020.
yes.
And I hadn't even given my proposal for my dissertation, and I want to thank you as one of the contributors of that dissertation, Guns and Roses.
Yeah.
But
My
when it
pleasure.
hit, I hadn't even put together a proposal. My
Mm,
wife, she had gotten sick with COVID, and I was thinking during that time, I'm not going to do that.
mm,
I'm not even going to be able to. I haven't put in a proposal. I haven't put together nothing. I haven't gotten that approved.
mm,
Uh, then after when she started getting better, I started doing my writing. I got my proposal in, and then I was able to proceed with the actual action dissertation project. And then as I said, I brought together the preachers that contributed to it to put together this document so that churches can do they can do ministry
mhm,
around gun violence.
mhm, mhm,
But my point is there there was a time where I thought this would not happen. I
mm,
didn't even think I was going to go back to school to get a doctorate.
Right.
When I got my master's, I was like, I'm done. And if you know Dale Irvin,
Yeah.
he was the president of NYTS, and he called me and said they got some money for a DMin program and for the certificate program, $500,000, and he's donating in memory of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. because Adam doesn't get the recognition
Right. Right.
that a lot of our Black leaders have gotten down through the years. And that money was to go in memory of him. He invited me back. He said I could get a scholarship with it and I could get it for half the price. And this, I
Mm.
said, oh, maybe this is God telling me
Mm.
I need to go back. I mean, if the God opens up a door, you have one or two choices. Either you go through it or you don't.
Right. Right.
I chose to go through it. Every door God has opened for me, I chose to go through it.
Mm.
You know, if I didn't go through it, then I would have missed my blessings, you
Mm.
know. But he's always opened up doors in times where, you know, we didn't think a door would open or we didn't necessarily look for it.
Right. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
And so I was able to do that. I was able to accomplish. So he sustained me in a time where I didn't see a blessing coming from it after I graduated, or even when I was, before I started doing the proposal during the pandemic. I didn't think that
Mm.
that would happen, you know. And he sustained me, and then the blessing through sustaining me, the blessing came.
Mm.
Joseph is a prime example of that.
Hmm.
Joseph in
Yeah.
Genesis,
Absolutely.
he went from the pit
Yep.
to the
To the
palace
palace,
to
to
the
the prison.
prison, to the
Yep. To the
prison.
prison, and then to the governorship.
Yes. Yes. And all because God was with him, but also because your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
If you were willing to work your gift, God will open the doors for you to go through.
That's encouragement because I think sometimes we lose our enthusiasm because we don't see, quote unquote, the light at the end of the tunnel. We say, well, I've done this, I've done that, I've given it my best. I've been to school, I got my master's degree, I got, but this, I want to get the doctorate, but no, maybe not. And, you know, maybe that's not what the Lord wants for me.
Mhm.
And all these different reasons begin to pop up, and we lose our sense of our sense of purpose sometimes.
Right.
Then we get distracted, and then we get sidetracked, and we
Mhm.
go someplace else, and we convince ourselves that this is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what you just said is encouragement because it tells everybody that God's not through with you yet. Just be faithful.
Yeah.
Sing your song.
Yes. Yes.
Sing your song.
Because even after graduation, my reading, I read 3, 4 books at one time.
Mm,
I continue my education there. And then God has books inside of me.
mm.
Now he's placed his books inside of me. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
start with one that was already pretty much written anyway.
Right.
Now I've graduated to another. Now I'm working in my mind, what's going to be the next one?
Right. Right. It's interesting, right? Because I started the second book, and I mean, I laugh at myself because I said, you write a chapter every week, every single
That's
week.
right.
I've been doing that for I've been doing this for almost 11, 12 years.
Your book is written already,
It's
Doc. All you
written.
got to do is take it to the publisher.
Well, actually, it's published now. It's published at mattersoffaith.blog. It's published,
All right. Yeah,
but
yeah.
now consolidated into a book.
Into a book.
So
Yes.
so that so that people can have it in their hands, like
That's
I
right.
mean, I have this one, but there's
Hmm.
more. There's more, and I've got several because I've got an autobiography that I started 20 years ago. I've
Mm.
had two lifetimes since then.
Yes.
So many things have changed since I started that
Yes.
that I didn't even touch on any of that.
Hmm.
I talked about what you talked about in terms of my upbringing, going through the heroin epidemic, all of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. That's in there. Junior,
Right.
elementary, junior high school, early
Hmm.
parts of college, moms and dad's death and all of that. But
Hmm.
then there was a place, it stopped, and then I have a whole new life.
Right.
Everything's changed.
Right.
I think
So
I
you
was
got to add, all you got to do is add to that.
exactly, exactly. Well, I
You
had
don't
it.
have to write a whole, you don't have to write a whole new
No,
book
no, I have to
unless
right,
you want
exactly.
to.
Just keep it up.
Just,
Just kind of
just
fill in
add
the
to it.
gaps and stuff.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, but I think everybody has, you know, not just a song to sing, but they have wings to soar. You just got to figure out what that is for you.
Right.
Just figure. And if you don't know, ask. The Lord is faithful. If you ask Him, He'll tell you.
Right.
He'll tell you.
Right. And we don't have to be jealous or envious of
Mm-mm,
nobody
mm-mm, mm-mm.
because your gifts may be different than mine. My
Right,
gifts are different than yours, but we
right.
all have gifts. You
That's
just
right.
got to work what God has given you
Right.
and placed in you.
Right. And Paul did a wonderful thing. He made it even seem comical. He said, can the eye tell the ear that I can't use you? I mean, it's every part of the body, the fingers, the hand, the palm of your hand. Without,
Right.
you need everything, but everything has its purpose.
Yes.
Everything has its purpose. If we're great at compensating. Like, for instance, I'll give you a good for instance. My sister had an accident 23 years ago, and she lost her arm.
Mm.
So she only has her right arm to work with.
Hmm.
But that doesn't stop her from doing what she has to do.
Right.
And then what happens is the Lord has allowed her to learn how to do everything with her right hand.
Mm.
Everything.
Hmm. Wow.
You know?
Hmm.
And the things that she can't do, well, she no longer needs to do them. You'd be surprised at the things you don't need to do when you find out that you can't do them.
Right.
You say, can't do it. You know, um, she was telling me that she and the church they wanted because my sister when she had the accident was a cook. She used to be, she was a caterer,
Mhm.
and so she can no longer do that because you can't. You need two hands to mix the pot. Oh,
Right.
okay, she can't do that
Mhm.
anymore. But when she was on. She probably would have been because she has to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But
Mhm.
in order to do that, she has to prepare the foods, right? In
Mhm.
order to serve the food, you got to prepare the food.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was there at the hospital and we had to tell her that her arm was amputated.
Mhm.
We didn't know what she was going to say,
Mhm.
right? I mean,
Mhm. Right.
she didn't know.
Right.
And so I told her, I said, she doesn't remember the accident. I said, remember when I told you that you had an accident? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, gotta tell you something happened. And I told her that the arm had been amputated.
Mhm.
She said, but I can feel it. I said, it's just phantom pains. She said, and then we look, what is she going to say? How are we going to deal with this? And she turned away for a second and she turned back around and said, I didn't like cooking anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it made it so much easier on us as family,
Yeah.
but it also set the tone for everything that was to come.
Right.
Everything.
Right.
Learning how to walk all over again, everything.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm saying, right? You may find yourself in a cage. You may
Mhm.
find yourself under a rock. You may find yourself in a cave. You may find yourself in positions where you feel helpless,
Mhm.
but you got a song in your heart.
Mhm.
You got to sing your song because the
Right.
song will release you from the grip that your fear or your lack of faith
Mhm.
is trying to tell you that you're not good enough.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't matter the circumstances. It's just a cage.
Right.
I mean, think about birds. Birds, listen, I'm going to sing anyway. It's just a cage. I'm
Right.
going to fly. I may not be able to soar, but I'm going to fly around this cage anyway
Right.
because I'm a bird. I fly.
Right.
Birds don't try to fly.
Right.
They fly.
That's right.
They don't try to sing. They sing.
That's right.
So as faithful believers, we should not try to be faithful believers. We should simply be faithful believers.
Yeah. And what's beautiful about it in this game that we can call football, we're all quarterbacks.
Mm. Yeah, I like that. I like
So
that.
what are you going to do with the ball that
Mm.
God has put in your hands?
Right. Right.
We are all quarterbacks.
Yeah. And you got some options too. You got some options.
Uh-huh.
You can run
Yeah.
it.
You
You
can
can
run it.
pass it.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
you got
You,
options.
you
You got
got
options.
options. Yes, sir.
See that game last night, by the way?
Oh, that was a game, brother. I had to comment on Facebook. I'm sorry you were on for Facebook, but I had to comment on it. I said, "Oh, that the Steelers and Ravens. My God, that was a game.
That was a
That was a
game.
game."
I watched that. I didn't see the whole thing, but I watched the most important parts of it.
Yes, uh-huh.
I was like,
The
unbelievable
end. The
game.
end.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Either
Yeah,
you're either the goat, or you are the, or you're going to be acclaimed, or you're going
mm,
to be a scapegoat.
that's
And
right.
and both of them missed. Both of
Hmm.
the kickers missed their extra
Yeah,
points. Two
yeah,
of the greatest kickers in the game today, and both of
mm,
them wound up missing.
yeah, yeah. And that this is when football becomes exciting to me.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Playoffs, wild cards.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, the
yeah.
rest of the stuff is
And games like we saw last night.
yes,
If
sir.
it's a blowout, I can't.
Right, right, right.
I just like, okay, I'm not watching this. But when it's going back and forth, and you know that it's going to come down to the final play.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's it's going to come down to.
yeah.
I can sit
No
there
time left.
in
No
front
time.
of that television and just watch. Just watch.
And it's so interesting because when you think about it, it's like they often compare it to, it was like watching a heavyweight fight.
Hmm. Yeah.
One knockout blow after another. And at one time you said, "Oh, that's it. The game's
That's
over."
it. Yeah.
Wasn't over.
Nope.
Wasn't over. Then the next one,
Nope.
"Oh, that's it. That's definitely it there. That was nope,
Nope.
nope, nope, nope." So it,
No.
it just amazing. It's just amazing. And that's what I'm talking about, right? If either one of those two sides had given up, then it would not have been a great game. But
Right.
both of them were in it to the very end.
Hmm.
And it was only because of a missed punt or a missed field goal that either
Hmm.
one of them lost.
That's right. That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? And that's the point that I guess, I know why Cage Bird sings, is that in spite of that, there's a win because you stayed in it, you didn't give up. Two people can't win in one game,
Hmm.
but two people won in that game because one won't go to the playoffs, but both teams grew in their confidence
That's
that they
right.
belong there. They belong there.
And they know they gave it their all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you give it your all, you give it your best, hey,
That's it.
like I said, you can't manage results. You can only manage your activity.
Hmm.
Their activity was beyond reproach on
That's
both
right.
sides of the ball.
That's right. That's
Both
right.
sides of the ball.
That's
Except
right.
one, except one play. Except one play. Um, the guy didn't run downfield faster. The guy just stand there looking at it. He just stood there and watched, like, what am I supposed to do? That was the strangest play I've ever seen. Um,
Well, I got a poem I want to read for
Go
you
ahead, brother,
that
please.
goes with your cage while the cage bird
Okay.
sings. It's called Prison is Our Home.
Okay.
That's
Let's
on page 34, if you want to follow.
I'll follow.
It goes bars, bars, bars. Prison is our home. Locks, locks, locks.
Earth spaceship launched in 2056.
Never free to roam. Death, death, death. Only the strong survive. Lift, lift, lift. Ain't got time to jive.
Mm,
Write, write, and write. Try to get an education. Read, read, and read some more to learn how to build a nation. Fight, fight, and fight harder. Someday we'll be free to roam. Dreams, dreams, and more dreams. Because for now, prison is our home.
mm, mm. I like this. This is really good. It's really good because it really goes from despair with the bars
Mm-hmm.
to the hopes, which are the dreams.
Right. And it's behind the bars that you build those
Right.
hopes and that you learn. And it's the same thing, and yet you work your gifts that someday, hopefully, you'll be able to fulfill those dreams.
Hmm.
We're living in a system now um, where prison is not rehabilitation.
No, it's not. It's punitive, completely punitive.
I mean, you give even these prisoners when they're locked up and they're able to get an education and things of that nature, and they come out and they can't find a job.
Right. Right. And that's the second criminality because they never pay their debt to society.
Mm,
So you're supposed if you're convicted and you go to jail, when you come out, you should be you should be free to pursue your life and then pursue what we call the American dream, right?
mm,
Pursuit of happiness.
mm,
But unfortunately, the society has set it up in such a way that you're an ex-offender, so we're not giving you a job.
mm,
And so they never pay their debt to society.
mm,
And it's constant. It's always, unless they do something creative, they can come out, they got the creative juices flowing, they become authors, or they go into the record industry or some form of entertainment. But that's not the whole story, because many of them develop, they find out who they are, they find their song.
mm.
They find their song. And then they
Yeah,
come out ready to use it, and nobody wants to give them a job.
right, right. And it's sad because
It is.
it just you just release them to sooner or later capture them
Recidivate.
again.
Recidivate. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's one of the dilemmas. You know it, and I know it, because we've been working in this field for a while in terms of trying to create opportunities for people to do well, but when they are released from incarceration. Some of you know this, some of you do not, but a few years ago, I started a ministry called it's called Back in Stride Again. And Back in Stride was a ministry designed to help ex-offenders create and start their own businesses.
Mm,
And so one of the thinking of that was, and I did it because I ran into an old friend that I hadn't seen in years who was incarcerated and did 25 years.
mhm,
And so he had gotten his education and while he was incarcerated, but could not find a job in social work.
mm,
And he told me that he had a passion for finishing floors, like buffing them and all that kind of stuff. I said, well, that's a job. I said, there's a place, and I told him where it was. I said, you can go and rent the equipment, and then you can hire yourself out to go and do that. I said, and by the way, if it's your business, nobody's going to ask you whether or not you were incarcerated.
mhm.
They just want to know that you can get the job done.
Right.
So he said, I said, yeah. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, you ever thought about establishing a business and just do that? He said, no. I said, well, why don't you? I said, why don't you write a business plan? And this is what he said. A what?
Mm,
I said, a business plan.
mhm,
A business plan will define what kind of work you will do, how you're going to get it done, and all of the other nuances that go along with it. He said, I'm not sure what that was. And then the Lord placed it on my heart immediately. He said, you can help him.
mhm,
You know why I could help him? Because when I was in elementary school,
mhm.
I had a fight with someone. And you know how elementary kids be fighting and they break them up. And this brother said, you Lenny's brother, aren't you? I said, yeah. He said, step on his foot. When he looked down, hit him. I did that. I won the fight. I never forgot that. I
Mm,
never forgot that.
mm,
And I said, I owe you one.
mm.
And I helped him write that business plan.
Wow.
And then the Lord said, you can do that for a lot of other people too.
Mhm.
And so that's how Back in Stride came into existence.
Nice.
And so, and it's just, that was a song that the Lord placed in my heart to sing it
Right.
and
Yeah.
to exercise it. And and I heard from someone not too long ago, just a few weeks ago actually, who also came into that quote unquote program. We had no sponsors, no nothing. We just did it because some other ministerial friends that I know, you know them too if I call their names. They
Mhm.
just came together with me to help do it.
Mm.
Someone gave us space that we could use free of charge.
Right.
We just did it.
All right.
Just did it. Forget failure and all that. We just did it.
Yeah.
And then one young man called me a little while ago, just a few weeks ago, and asked me, for some assistance. But he said to me, he said, "I'll never forget what you did for me." I said, "Really?"
Mhm.
I didn't remember what I did, except that he
Mhm.
came in, but I did some things that he remembered. And he said, "By the way, what I do now," he says, "I'm an actor. And I also am a producer. I just produced a show that was on one of these cable stations."
Mhm.
I said, "Really?" Right? I'm talking about seeds. You have no idea what you can do
Yeah.
when you sing your song, how it's going to touch somebody.
That's
Sing
right.
your song. Sing your
That's
song.
right.
Sing your
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. God gives it to us. It's up for us to sing it.
Right. And he didn't give it to you for you. He gave it to you
Mhm.
to give away.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
by the way, we're almost out of time. We're almost
Did
out.
you get anybody else to respond to the questions?
No, they often don't do that. They just say stuff like, um, let's see. Well, my cousin said, she said, keeping me steadfast in faith, which is one. I guess that's part of the second question. What stresses have no most difficult for you to release, and why? And she just answered the question, I guess, to that first part, and said that uh, what did she say? She said, keeping me steadfast in faith. So, yeah, I think a lot of times people answer the question, but they answer it privately.
Mhm.
They don't put it
Yeah.
on there publicly.
Yeah.
If we had the opportunity to have them call in and speak to us,
Mhm.
we probably get a different reaction.
Mhm. That
But
might be your next move.
well, I used to do it that way. I used to do it that way. But when I first started, what we had was people, um, they were putting stuff in there. Remember I used to, when Zoom first started, people used to sort of capture your screen and put all kind of yeah, they did
Mhm.
that. And I said, no, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have that. We're not doing that.
I hear
So
you.
I decided not to have that at all. And
Right.
so that they could write in their response. But some people are good like that. As long as
Yeah.
they're watching, as long as they're listening, that's what's most important. Getting that information to them and helping them to you know to manifest their gifts and talents and stuff, and maybe blessed by the grace of God,
Mhm.
something will come out of it that will be a blessing to them.
Yes, sir.
So let me turn it over to you, because the Lord has placed something on my heart. It takes me about 5 or 6 minutes to get through this last part, but I'll turn it over to you so you can sort of say whatever you need to say, and then I'll come back with my final remarks, and we'll be done for
All
the.
right. Well, first off, I want to say thank you again, my friend and my brother, for this opportunity to come on your show. And my prayer is that God will bless you exceedingly and abundantly beyond all you can ask or think in this new year, 2026. I like to say thank you to all who've come on and who have listened and who've engaged. New Tabernacle Baptist Church, and my wife and my mother-in-law, amen. Um, I just want to say thank you to all of you, and as we have engaged in discussion on tonight, remember you sing your song, you sing your song that has given you. You sing your song which God has given you. And don't allow anybody to discourage you
Mm,
from doing that. The only one that doesn't want you to sing it is the devil, and
mm,
he's the only one that tries to keep you on lockdown
mm,
to discourage you. But as we've already stated, the Bible is full of folk who've been oppressed and have been put in cages and in prisons, and God has used them for great things because they were willing to be used. And so once more and again, I want to say thank you. Thank you to Mother Jackson and to Lady Ratliff and to all, to New Tabernacle Baptist Church who are on, and to those whom I may not know or have seen on, to the Baptist Ministers Evening Conference of Greater New York and Vicinity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I pray I could be back with you, Dr. Russell, amen, in the future.
Oh,
And
you will. You will. Mark
I'll
your
let you
calendar
know.
now.
Okay, and I'll let you know when that other book comes out. On Mondays we're usually in conference. That's why
Right.
I
Exactly.
wouldn't
Exactly.
I would be with you. But
Right.
on those days where we don't have conference, I'm a steal away, amen, and join in with you. And I can always go back and see some of the other shows too that you broadcast. So thank you, my
You're
brother. I
welcome.
appreciate you, amen. And we're gonna stress less and be blessed
That's
in
right.
2026.
Absolutely. Stress less. You know, as I said, stress less. What's the second one I said? Trust more and live blessed in
That's
2020.
right.
The rebound of Habakkuk's faith and the song of the caged bird teach us the same lesson. God's gift within you is greater than the pressures around you. The dawn of a new year challenges us to reframe our cages and recognize that we are designed by God to sing and then to soar. Every one of us has limitations: social, financial, familial, spiritual, and even self-inflicted. But every new year gives us a choice to see cages as prisons or to see them as platforms. Whatever song God placed in your heart, it must be sung. Whatever wings God gave you, they must be used. Because singing your song and spreading your wings frees you from the bondage of others have placed on you, and even the bondage you placed on yourself. Jerry Dunn said it best: challenge your limits, don't limit your challenges. Let's start the new year with an affirmation and carry it with us throughout the year. Stress less, trust more, and live blessed in 2026. Let me pray for y'all. I've been having this on my heart. I got to pray for y'all. Eternal God,
Yes.
we thank you for being our strength when life feels unstable, and our hope when circumstances seem barren. When the fig tree does not blossom and the stalls are empty, you remind us that our joy is not rooted in what we see, but in who we are. Lord, as we stand on the threshold of a new year, we release every burden, every fear, and every stress that has weighed us down. Teach us to trust you beyond our conditions and to rejoice even in uncertain seasons. Help us to sing the song you placed in our hearts, even when life feels confining, and to use the wings you've given to us to rise above our challenges. Turn our stress into strength, our worry into worship, our limitations into testimonies. Make our feet like deer's feet, steady,
Yes.
strong, and sure, able to stand on high places even when the ground beneath us is uneven.
Yes.
Give us courage to challenge our limits, faith to activate our potential, and the obedience to walk boldly into the future you have prepared. Send
Yes.
us forth into 2026 with renewed faith, unshakable joy, and confident hope. May we stress less, trust more, and live fully blessed, singing our song and soaring to your glory. We
Yes.
give you the praise, we give you the honor, and we give you the glory. And it is in my tradition as a born-again follower of Christ,
Yes.
and in the mighty and matchless name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now, please don't forget our sponsors and advertisers, y'all. The JLR Company, J. Law and R Consulting, LLC, for all your church financial needs. Call 718-328-8096 or email us at jlawandr@jlr.llc. It's not about the castle. It's about the kingdom.
That's
And
right.
please subscribe to the Matters of Faith blog at www.mattersoffaith.blog. The Matters of Faith book, I showed it to you before, but this is the book. You should get a copy of the book. You can use our Zelle to get it, jlaurenr@jlr.llc. You can also, that book is $24.15, by the way, which covers shipping and handling. Or if you give me a call, if you reach out to me, I'll get it to you. You don't have to pay that stuff. Or you can get an ebook, www.smashwords. You can't go to Amazon for this. You got to go to Smashwords, smashwords.com/books/view/993177. It's in the chat. No shipping charges if you do that, and it goes right to your device. You can take it wherever you want. Better Mag Magazine, www.abettermag.com. A 2-year subscription is still just $27.50. John J. Fox & Sons Funeral Services, professional, compassionate, and family-friendly. Serving the Bronx for 125 years. 718-733-9114. 718-733-9114. And E.G. Edwards and Associates, your taxes, your business, all of your accounting needs, they can do it for you with competence and professional excellence. And they know how to work with pastors and ministers. They're excellent at it. I know, because I'm not just, they don't advertise with me, but I'm one of their clients too. 718-949-5181. 718-949-5181. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the Matters of Faith YouTube channel. That's the @ Matters of Faith 9525. And while you're at it, the Matters of Faith .blog space. You know that. Telephone, text, email, message, any way you do it. But tell a friend to join us regularly on Monday nights for Matters of Faith, the radio show. We are always live on our Matters of Faith YouTube channel. We also drop each episode on our Matters of Faith and J. Lauren Russell Facebook groups. If you don't have the Facebook group, just go to YouTube. Please, ma'am, please, sir, make sure you don't miss a single episode of Matters of Faith because you did not subscribe, like, and share the Matters of Faith YouTube channel, or you missed an article, a devotional, because you did not subscribe to mattersoffaith.blog. It doesn't cost you anything to do that, but you should do that, mattersoffaith.blog. Now, on behalf of my guest, my friend, Reverend Dr. Hiram Ratliff, let me remind you to stress less and be blessed in 2026. And please join us next week at the same time in the same place. We will be live on the Matters of Faith and our YouTube channel, as well as the Matters of Faith and J. Lauren Russell Facebook groups. The devotional and the column will be published in its usual places. Now, if no one told you this today, let me be the first to say that I love you, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. So get used to it. Now, the Lord bless you, the Lord keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So good night. God bless you. Happy New Year. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.